Jai Baba, friend. We are celebrating the 63rd anniversary of the East-West gatherings, which today's November 1st. It started on November 1st, 1962. Um, and we'll have today the speakers who were there. Um, I'll read just a bit from Lord Mayher. This was Baba's greeting. Um, He said, I am very happy that you are here. Your love has brought you here, but it is really Baba's love that has drawn you to me for this gathering. This love will make you experience one day that God exists. Only God is real. And then this was day one. Clouds gathered, and they had a tremendous rainstorm. The quoting from Lord Mayor, the cloth roof of the pandal flapped furiously in the wind, began to tear in places. Water cascaded down, soaking men, women, and children who were waiting their turn to see Baba. Almost everyone was shivering. Water was everywhere. This is, mind you, day one. And the dirt floor turned to mud. Tech's high tower recollected. The feeling inside the pandal was volcanic. We have all been in heavy rain before, but here there was something not ominous, but such a feeling of immense power. I saw Baba weaving back and forth in his chair. His face held an expression of power. It was an awesome sight.
Wow.
So, yeah. Day one, immediately Baba starts off like that. So our first speaker will tell you she has a story about that rainstorm. It's Goher Mobed, whose father, um, Minu Karas, was one of Baba's intimate circle. So, Goher, over to you.
Thank you, Betty. Jai Baba, everyone.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. I see a lot of old familiar faces and I see some new ones too. So for you old ones, I know you've heard my story before, but this today is such a momentous day for me. Out of all the anniversaries I celebrate all year through, this one is closest to my heart. Why? Because this was the first time, very first time that I physically in this lifetime met our beloved Baba. So I'll start at the beginning with my dad, who you know was Minu Kharas. And dad was one of Baba's earliest disciples, having met him at the end of his long search for God from his childhood in 1932. Ever since then, he became Baba's and was close to him in so many ways. And Baba already told him at one point that he was one of his intimate circle of 120 disciples. So Dad was with him
These are
all
all the
these years.
people that are on here.
Yeah.
Jai Baba Irwin. So,
Baba Irwin.
Hello.
That sounded like your friend in India.
so Dad was Baba's
friends.
fully and solely, and he did everything that happened in his life was always with Baba's knowledge, with his permission, and so forth. So for a number of years, he was, absolutely a bachelor in the family. But finally, in 1954, after having met my mother, Treni Patel, and with Baba's permission, they were married. And in December of that year, I came along. So, and then there's a whole other story about Baba naming me, but I was so fortunate indeed to have Baba's blessing for that. And he named me after his personal physician, Dr. Goher Irani. So now we skip over to, so in my youth, in my young childhood days, our home in Karachi was the Baba Center. We had meetings every 25th of the month, and I looked forward to that as a young child. And we had prayers and then discussions or communications from around the Baba world. And my father would speak and tell many, many stories of his time spent in Baba's presence and in his company. And so I grew up with this with Baba all along, and very naturally accepted him for who he said he was. But as a young child, it was also because I was born in a Zoroastrian family that we were, brought up in both the Zoroastrian faith as well as, of course, knowing Baba. But Baba was always the predominant one, always the one that I just naturally accepted him as God. But then I was, very, very young in my elementary years. Then finally came 1962. And this was the first time that Dad mentioned we were going to India. And I was old enough to remember that, recall that I would physically be seeing Baba. All along, he was just a picture on the wall, pictures on lots of pictures on our wall at home. But now I would physically be in his presence. So that excitement started building up in me, so much so that it overwhelmed me at times. And then finally, it came to November 1st, 1962, when I found myself at the gates of Guru Prasad Palace, this beautiful bungalow in Pune, and thousands upon thousands of people were there. And now I was almost 8 years old at that time, a month shy of my 8th birthday. So I was with my mother and we were walking with the crowd, to the back of Guru Prasad. And instinctively, I just somehow knew that Baba would be somewhere at the back of that building, seated somewhere. But all I wanted to do was, when I walked to the back and I turned around, my first view had to be Baba. I had to see him first before I saw anybody else. And that's exactly what happened. I walked to the back and from the corner of my eye, I could see the stage on my right side. And the women were seated on the left side of the pandal, the men were seated on the right. So I walk, away from the stage a few paces, and then I turn around, and there is Baba sitting on the stage, beaming, pure radiance. And I just stood there, I don't know for how long, and I just looked at him, and I was just overwhelmed. I cannot describe that feeling. Even as a young child, it was so overwhelming. So we were there, and with all these Westerners who were, the Western women were sitting in the front rows, and we were just behind them, I think. And then I remember the very intense, it was so hot, it was very, very intense heat. And then all of a sudden in the afternoon, out of the blue, this thunder shower opens up, and oh my goodness, it was so quick and so terrific that it drenched all of us within a matter of minutes. We were soaked, literally soaked. Baba was concerned because, knowing that the Western women were not used to this Indian climate and whatnot, he had all the Western women and some of us Easterners who were there who go into and be with the women mandali, and he wanted them to help us change into dry clothing. So we were all ushered inside, and Mani and Mira and all the rest of the women were there. And it was just chaotic, just the scene that I can envision in front of my eyes. The monthly members, running around trying to find clothing for everyone, one by one. And so I just stood there, wet as anything. And then Mani, I remember, came to me with one of her dresses. And this was a dress that was pink in color. It was pink and white polka dot dress, okay? And so she helped me change, and I put the dress on. But of course, I was only like 3 foot high at the time, being only almost 8 years old. So she ran and got this sky blue ribbon, and she tied that ribbon. So I have a pink dress and a blue ribbon around my waist so that she could hitch up the dress so that I wouldn't trip, you see. And so anyway, so that was that. And then,
Or shall I show it?
yes, please, Betty. We have some digital pictures to share with you. So of course, that dress today is a preserved memento of that very momentous occasion in my life. So here it is. It has been preserved and is one of my favorite possessions. And the little square that you see in the middle is the blue ribbon that was tied around my waist. So anyway, so we that was that. And then my mother must have returned the dress to Mani. But when we came back to Karachi, surprise, surprise, Mani lovingly sent me this dress. And she on the front of the envelope, it was in a manila envelope. She sent it through somebody, I believe. And it said, to Baba's sweet little Goher. And inside was the dress. So that is my absolute, one of my treasured possessions. So then years later, after I came here after being married and I had my own family, one year we would frequently go to India and visit the Mandli. So this one year, I thought to myself, well, now I can actually fit into this dress. So I took it along with me and I put the dress on when I went to meet Mani. And so here is the picture of me meeting Mani at Kushru quarters where she used to, have her office and work. And I met her there. And I said to her, I said, Mani, do you remember this dress? And she looked at me and she said, yes, of course I do. So there she is giving me a hug and reminiscing about the day that this had happened. It was such a joyous moment. And so that is that beautiful moment I shared with her. Anyway, and then subsequently, after the 4 days of darshan program, Baba had also allotted some time for some of us Eastern groups to come and meet him, for a separate audience. And so the Karachi group, of course, went to be with Baba. And I remember meeting him in that little side room in Guru Prasad. And I was in line behind my dad, and I kept poking my head around, to the side to catch a glimpse of Baba, because now he was really close. I had seen him on the stage at first for the first 4 days, but then now I was actually going to be in his presence and take his darshan. So I kept poking my head around to, catch a glimpse of him as we approached. And then finally it was my turn. So I knelt down in front of Baba and I placed my hands on where his feet were. And I put my head on first the left foot and then the right foot and then in the middle. And then I just stayed there forever, just putting my hands on his feet. And then finally I stood up and then Baba gathered me in his embrace. And that was an eternal moment I will never forget. And then subsequently in 1965, 3 years later, he had an Easterners darshan where only some Eastern groups were invited to come. And we were there. And again, when I bowed down to him and I took his darshan in that same side room in Guru Prasad, and I stood up, Baba said, how big you have grown. So in 3 years, I had grown a little bit, I suppose. So that was it. Lovely, lovely memories, absolutely unforgettable days. And when I was sitting there, when we were sitting all in front of Baba, just, either sitting in silence or with him communicating with this one or that one, we were just there for a while. And the one thing I remember distinctly is my father leaned over to me at one point and whispered in my ear, keep your gaze on him and drink in every drop so that this memory will last you a lifetime. And indeed, today, when I close my eyes, I can just picture myself in that room, in Baba's presence, absolute joy and peace and love, so much love. Oh my goodness. And that was my meeting with Baba for the first and second times in my life. So to all of you, I say, keep Baba with you always, always. Know that he has chosen you to be here at this time, even though you haven't met him physically. I know there are just handful of us now that are left that physically knew him, and that was an absolute blessing, more than I can say. But for you folks that have not met him physically, you know that you are so blessed and so given the gift of conviction, which is so huge, so huge. So keep that with you always and draw him in and keep him with you in everything you think, say, and do. Jai Meher Baba.
Thank you, Goher.
Sure.
Wonderful, a wonderful memory. And now we will turn to Nasosherwan. Let's see who I need to unspotlight, I think. Yeah, speaker. Nosh, let's see. If you could say just hello, Nosh, you're
Hello, Jay Meher Baba.
good. We'll see
You
you.
are.
I wanted to say, I know we all know Nosh, but I wanted just to acknowledge his
I thought I had turned into a piece of stone. As I can see over here, there's a little temple-like thing.
Well, I want to thank you, Nosh, right off for your incredible lifetime of service for Baba, the Glow magazine, which I know he gave, that was your charge, right? To
Yep.
spread the word through your wonderful magazine and all the myriad ways, the beloved archives, all that you've given us. Uh, you're an amazing role model for us all. And I'll let you. Nosh was 16 when he at this time. So we've gone now from a 7-year-old to a 16-year-old. We're starting with the young ones. So please take it over from here, Nosh.
Okay. So, Jay Meher Baba. So the last time that I had seen Baba before the East-West gathering was in 1953. And that was, he left actually Dehradun in November of 1953, and I was devastated. And it actually his leaving Dehradun after a year in Dehradun was, I was inconsolable. So when an opportunity came in 1962 to see him, even for a short period, I was there only for a day. I went with my parents, my father and mother, to Guru Prasad, and we stood outside the gates, and there were masses of people standing outside. Everyone was under the impression that they would not be able to get a place to sit. The doors of Guru Prasad were closed, and the moment the doors were open, like maniacs, all of us charged into Guru Prasad. And you've often seen that in film, how people were charging in, and I was one of them charging in to thinking that we wouldn't be able to get a place or we wouldn't be able to sit in Baba's presence, imagining all those things. But when we walked in, of course, Baba was not there. The stage was set, and it was very well organized under the Shamiana. There were several sections for each state. And I was under Uttar Pradesh. So I went and sat in the corner seat under Uttar Pradesh, which is where Dehradun fell under. And there were Andhra Pradesh and Maharashtra and so forth. Very well organized. And there were about 10,000 people at that time. People often vary the number, but I'm told there were about 10,000 people. So we were all anxiously waiting for Baba to come, and Baba came with on the stage. He looked a lot different from what I had seen him in 1953. He was a lot older. He wasn't moving that quickly. He was supported by Dr. Bharucha and Adi K. Rani. Onto the stage, he came in. And there was a certain charisma in Meher Baba that thousands of people in unison shouted, "Avtar Meher Baba ki jai." Thousands of people. And one would wonder that an old man walking onto the stage, what was attracting so many people? But you could feel that there were waves of love from Baba penetrating the hearts of people sitting over there. I was crying continually as Baba walked on the stage and we were all standing. And I looked to my left and my right, and everyone was crying. There were tears flowing down people's eyes. He had touched the hearts of literally everyone. And then as he came, he raised his hand asking people to sit down. So we all sat down. Well, Erich put pillows around his chair in the middle of the dais. And at that, as I sat there, the thought crossed my mind that I saw him about 8, 9 years back. I was a lot younger then, and will Baba remember me? Will he know it's Nasosherwan who's sitting there, or whether he's in this crowd? Hardly had this thought crossed my mind when Erich on the mic says, "Will Baba wants Nasosherwan on the stage." And I was completely taken aback. I hurriedly went over onto the stage, clambered onto the stage instead of going up the steps, and rushed into Baba's arms. I kissed him on both the cheeks. He kissed me. And before I could, he asked me to sit at his feet. He asked me, how was I doing in my studies? And I said, "Baba, I'm very poor in arithmetic." So he said, "Don't worry about that. I was also in school very poor in arithmetic. So just keep repeating my name and you'll be all right." So that was all that he asked me at that moment. And I sat at his feet. You must have seen pictures of me sitting at his feet. So when you sit in Baba's presence, you keep staring at him and you see all the activity that goes around him. My mother had offered to be a volunteer. So she was standing at the edge of the stage, and you'll see a woman in a knitted cardigan in films. That's my mother, staring at him continually throughout the period that she was there. She was very, very devoted to Meher Baba. So when you sat in Baba's presence, there were all kinds of people who came. People bowed down to him. People offered him flowers. People offered him fruits. They gave him nuts. All kinds of gifts people gave him. And the Mangli was busy putting them away. People never looked at Baba's comfort level. I know of one Baba from Dehradun. He was a Kashmiri boy from Kashmir. He had come with a bottle of Chanel perfume, and he broke the Chanel perfume at Baba's feet and poured it on his feet. I mean, completely thoughtless that Baba might, it would hurt his feet, but that's how their love overflowed, and that's how they expressed themselves. But there were a little few incidents that were going on all along. There were people standing there, and there was, of course, in the beginning, you had Harry Kenmore recite the Master's Prayer. And when he recited the Master's Prayer, your hair stood on edge. It was so powerful, so powerful. It seemed that he was born just to recite the Master's Prayer, Harry Kenmore. So let me tell you a little anecdote about what I witnessed over there as I was staring at Baba. So Baba tells Erich to go and call that woman sitting in a corner of the stage. So Erich walks over to a woman whose name was Mona Sakre. Now, she was the wife of Wing Commander Sakre from Dehradun. Both the husband and wife were from Dehradun. And she had been in and out of doctors' offices and in hospitals and was in very bad health all her life. So Erich goes to her and says, "Baba wants to see you." and she turns her face away from Erich, refusing to come to Baba. So Erich goes back, and Baba says, go again. And I want to tell you that Baba always did everything in threes. So Erich goes back and says, Baba wants to speak to you. And she again turns her face. And then again Baba sends her and says, Baba really wants you to, whatever Erich said to her, saying he. So then she walks up and comes to Baba. All this I see in front of me. So Baba takes her, embraces her, takes, and then she's sobbing away, sobbing away, sobbing away. And Baba takes out his handkerchiefs and gives it to her and pats her face with the handkerchief and tells her, I know what you're suffering, what suffering you're going through. I suffer a great deal. I have universal suffering. Mona, won't you share in my suffering? And she just says, she just sobs and she says, yes, Baba, yes, Baba. And then she takes Baba's handkerchief and then goes and sits down. So this was a very touching moment that I saw in my presence. Because when you're in Baba's presence, all that you do is you gaze at him, you stare at him, taking in all that's going on in front of you. So many people were coming and bowing down to him. You saw the Mandli coming one by one, bowing down to him and so forth. So this was a significant event. And then, of course, it started raining very heavily, and I got drenched. And that afternoon, I had to go back to Dehradun. I could not stay on because I had to prepare for my exams that were due. So I had just come for half a day, and then I rushed back. But that little half a day was an amazing period of my life. Because when you kiss Baba, you embrace Baba, when he kisses you or embraces you, you feel the strength of a man, embracing you. But when he kisses you, you feel the sweetness of a woman. You feel the gentleness of a woman. And that's what Meher Baba exuded. So I will end my narration. This is just a couple of anecdotes that I wanted to share with you this morning, particularly the one with Mona Sakre of the East-West gathering. Of course, there was a time that we spent there in the rain, meeting people, meeting the Mandli and so forth. But this was my experience of the East-West gathering. Jai Meher Baba.
Nosh, did you get wet?
Drenched.
Oh, thank you so much. I hadn't realized you had such a short
I had
time.
but because but there were so many other occasions in 1953. I was allowed to go to see Baba every day and spend time with him. And then you've heard my stories of various different years of meeting Baba. I won't go into them now because we focused on 1962 and the East-West gathering. But it was the East-West gathering was a turning point in Baba's ministry when he emphasized inner being, connection with him. And that was the focus of the East-West gathering. He was breaking away from the external connection and telling people that he would be connected on an inner level with him. And East-West gathering was the pivoting point.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you for all of your share. Thanks so much, Nosh.
Jai Baba.
And now we'll go to Irwin. Let's see, where are you, Irwin? Oh, but Irwin, if you'll just say hello, I think, oh, let's see, I think I need to unmute you, darn. Let me find you. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Can you unmute yourself, Irwin? Are you able to do that?
Yeah. Can you
Great.
hear me now?
Yeah, perfect.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, good. This is my third hello to everybody. I heard the other two, but you couldn't hear me, apparently. The East-West Gathering was a very unique time for Baba. He had wanted to hold that gathering for many years, but the time, he said, was not right. Until 1962, in November, is when the gathering finally occurred. Now, there was something big going on in the world at the time. There was a war. India had just been attacked by China, and the United States and Russia uh, were at loggerheads. They were. We didn't even know if there'd be a nuclear war because the Russians were bringing missiles into Cuba, and the United States at that time under Kennedy was had a blockade of ships that was standing in the way of their bringing them in. He didn't want them to have missiles there. So this is going on. And at the same time, Bob is inviting everybody to come to the East-West gathering in which he's going to bring the East and the West together. At a crisis like this, Baba, I would say, loves drama because this was dramatic. And it was something we didn't know what was going to happen because when we had to leave, we went, the plane, when the plane took off, we didn't even know if there'd be a planet to land on because of the crisis and the possibility of nuclear exchange. So Baba, I would say, is a very dramatic avatar. Now we take off, okay, we go, and when the flight lands, India was rushing a lot of troops up to the front to confront the Chinese, but India actually was no match at that time for China. And the Chinese were just swooping in at the border. Well, as it turned out, they just were coming in. Now we're also there. So now we're all taken to to where Baba is in buses from the airport. And we're going there and, not necessarily thinking about any war or anything going on because we're going to see Mayor Baba. And we knew that Baba had told us all, and he said this various times in the past, that he said, remember who's running the show. He didn't use those words. I use those words, but that's what it meant. In other words, he was in control of everything. Masters, the perfect masters and the avatar are always in control. When Baba spoke about the First World War, he said that Sai Baba was the one that ran that war, and he ran the Second World War. Well, this is kind of big, to think about such things. But then again, we live on a little tiny planet in a vast universe, which they can't even see the end of the universe. It's so big. And here we are, and it's worrying about our little things, and nobody else in the whole cosmos is caring about it, whatever. But, you can look at it that way, too, because he is not only working and running what is in this planet and this world, but also everywhere else as well in the cosmos. So we don't think about that because we can't see all that, but that's what he said he's doing. Now, just back to this. So Baba now is having his gathering. We all came and we're all looking at everything. But I have to tell you this, that on the way to the gathering, in the buses that they brought us in, I'm sitting in the bus and I'm looking out the window and I see these children coming and they're all got their hands up, begging for something or give them something. And it occurred to me that how come I'm on this side of the window? I felt like I'm used to being on the other side of the window with my hand up, you see. But I'm in the bus and I'm on the way to see the Avatar with all the other people. And it just seemed like, even though I can't remember past lives, I have no memory, a specific memory of any of that, but I had the feeling that that's what it was, that I had lived a number of lives, and I was extremely poor and very, always had my hand out, just like these kids are doing. And it was like that. And now all of a sudden, I'm in the bus going to the Avatar himself, and I don't have those problems. But anyhow, those were the impressions that I had. Now, as the bus gets to Baba, the place, Guru Prasad is where we saw him. This was the Maharani's palace, and she became a Baba lover, so she dedicated anything that Baba wanted. He could come to stay there whenever he wanted. And Baba's mandali were affected a lot by the heat in Mehrabad, because boy, can it get hot in India. So it was summertime, and this was in the month of May. So, and excuse me, November. So then we got into the place where Baba was, and it was very, very lovely, actually. It was a very lovely experience. When Baba, as Nasosherwan was saying, came onto the stage, and he was brought there, Baba looked, he was quite old by then, and he was sort of looking somewhat helpless. And you say to yourself, well, here's the Avatar, he's the almighty power behind the whole universe. And yet in this human form, he appeared to be so frail, like we would be, like any person would be. But then I recall that Baba said, when someone asked him if he was human, and Baba said, I'm more human than you. That was his reply to that person. I'm more human than you. So when he becomes human, he's really human. And he takes on all the human characteristics as any human being would. He does not show his infinite power and his infinite bliss, but he did say that he uses his infinite knowledge. That much he uses. Well, when you're when you have a mission as an avatar to enlighten the entire world, you're going to have something that others don't have. And the knowledge was what he used. He knew everybody, he knew everything. And as was pointed out, he could tell anybody anything from whatever distance. In fact, there was an incident too at the East-West gathering where he demonstrated that, but in a very natural manner. Baba liked to do things in a natural way. He didn't want to scare anybody with his almighty self. So he was always doing things in ways that you can understand very easily. Now, the one thing that happened was this man, he was a Zoroastrian, and he had come to the meeting. I'll just go back and say that Baba had this meeting go on for 4 days, but I believe it was the fourth day that he said that anybody could come. Otherwise, he wanted only his lovers and those who would obey him to come to the meeting, East-West gathering. And that's the way it was for 3 days. But the fourth day, he said, yes, now anybody can come of the public, whether they believe in him or not. And this particular man did not believe. He was a Zoroastrian, but he heard about it, and he decided that he wanted to go to this meeting just to see this Mayor Baba, and he was very skeptical about everything. So in order to protect himself, he told me when I spoke to him, he told me that he just would repeat Zoroaster's name. He would continuously repeat it as a protection so that Baba shouldn't hypnotize him into thinking that he was that he was a master or that he was God or anything like that. He didn't want to hear, he couldn't believe that. So in order to protect himself, he would take Zoroaster's name whenever Baba was talking about anything. Well, as it turned out, he said to me that he was taking his name and then he would listen, but he's listening also at the same time as to what Baba is saying through Erich when Erich would read his gestures and he would on the microphone, on the microphone for everybody to hear. So he would be listening and then he'd forget to say Zoroaster's name. But he said when that happened and he would stop saying it because he's listening, Baba would then turn and point to him because he was way in the back also. He wasn't like up front in the gathering there with all these people. So Baba would point to him and motion to him to continue to say the name. Don't forget to say the name of Zoroaster. and then he would remember and he would say Zoroaster's name. But then again, the same thing would happen over and over. It was happening every time he would forget to say Zoroaster's name. Baba would remind him to say it. And he became he became a Baba lover too, because you can't be around Baba and not like him. He's a very lovable and likable man, even on the human level, aside from his divinity. But he was always making himself very amiable for each person, that they could find something about him that they would really like, even as a human. All right. Well, anyhow, that was the case of this gentleman. Then there were other incidents that occurred. One time, Baba was announcing through Erich, he was announcing that if somebody were to come up to him, because there would be these lines of people that would come up to greet Baba, each one one at a time. And Baba was saying that if there was one person that he particularly chose that had come up and he wanted to give them God realization, the realization of their God state, they would come up to him as an ordinary person and they would walk away, God realized. And they would become, but nobody on the outside would be able to tell the difference. They would just see him come up to Baba and pay their respects and go on. But Baba was saying that if such a person were to come up to him and he wanted to give them the God state, they would go away as God realized. So I'm listening to this. It's being announced to everybody, but I'm listening to this and I'm thinking, Baba doesn't waste words. There's nothing like that would happen with him. When he says something is happening. And I would not be surprised that he actually did something like this and then in an offhanded manner just happened to tell everybody the same thing like that. See? Baba was very casual many times. He would just say something offhanded. One day when I was with him, and this was at a different time when I first went to see him, he told me that I was sent to him by another master. But the way he said it was sort of casually. It was offhanded. It just happened to say it, like you read a book and you happen to find a line in there that you particularly like, and there's some other about people around, and you happen to casually tell them about, oh, they were, I just read this here or something, and then you go back to it. That's the way it works. That's the way it was with this. So naturally, I thought, later on, I was thinking, who could this master be? Had no idea. But I do know that before I came to see Baba, or even knew about him, I was being inwardly guided for a few years. That's a whole nother story. But anyhow, the East-West Gathering. Oh, so this reporter comes up to the dais, and Baba allowed him to come. And he's a reporter for the newspaper. And he has a couple of questions he wants to ask Baba. The first question was, will India be victorious? Because now this war is going on. You see, this is a war going on. And Baba said, because the avatar is in India, India will be victorious. But remember, I am also in the Chinese. That's the way he said it. So a couple of days later, it's announced in the newspaper. Mayor Baba says India will be victorious. They left out the part about the Chinese. Then there was also a second question that he had asked, and that is, what will happen? Will there be a third world war? Because now the U.S. and Russia, both nuclear states, are having this here with a standoff in the on the ocean. You see, you're not allowed to, according to international rules, to ever stop another ship or anything on the open ocean. That's considered an act of war, which I didn't even know that, but that's what I was told. So it's an act of war, for the U.S. to blockade the Russian ships, preventing them from bringing missiles to Cuba would be considered an act of war. You can't do that. You don't do that, you see, on the high seas. Well, but this was being done. So then this reporter asked Baba, what's going to happen? Is there going to be a nuclear war now that, these are nuclear states? Well, Baba said to him, the time is not right for war. I will avert it, Baba said. I will avert it. Now, a couple of days again had gone by, and what happened? All of a sudden, Russia decides to bring its ships back home, and the United States immediately brought the fleet back home too. So everybody went home. We all went home, and that was the end of it. So why this happened is speculation. People speculate on it, and as to what actually happened. Why did they do this here? And then there was those thing with India, and all of a sudden the Chinese just stopped, and they just turned around and went home. They were winning. There wasn't that much resistance that India could put up because they were not as strong as the Chinese at that time. So they just turned around and they went home, and because Baba said India would be victorious, and that was the end of that one. Why they returned, and when you're winning, and they did that till this day, I still don't know that. I'm sure there's a reason, but I don't know what it is. And that was the end of that. So all of these conflicts, incredible conflict, were just dissipated, completely dissipated at the time of the East-West Gathering. And we were having a grand time being there with Baba, you see. There was another incident, and that I think Nasosherwan touched on it. It happened to deal with the rains. Well, it started to rain, and there were like 5,000 people that had come to the gathering, and we were all seated there, and Baba was on the dais where he could see, and when this happened, these birds flew in under the canopy and started to fly around Baba, and then they flew around the entire gathering. And then they would go back and fly around Baba and fly around the gathering. And this continued on for a little while as the rains were, oh no, and then it started to rain. So as soon as they flew off, then they finally flew away, and the rain started. And at first it was like a haze because there was a canopy, and it caught most of the water, and then, but gradually it began to soak through, and it started to come down more and more and more until finally it came down so much that everybody got soaked. And Baba said that the women could go with the women mandali to change their clothes into something dry, and the men could go back to the hotels or wherever they were for a while, and then they could come back again, but they would change clothes too, or just stay the way it was. I know that I think Edward and myself were there, my brother Edward. We just stayed there. We dried off just because it you could the weather was hot, so you anyhow we just stayed and we dried off like that, and we were just waiting for Baba, and Baba was saying, "Why would I allow it to rain on my lovers? Why would I do that, allow this to happen? I could stop that, but I didn't do that. So I let it all rain." And then Baba said it was that there were pilgrims that would go through the greatest austerities to go to places of pilgrimage. They would roll on the ground even. They would He gave different incidents of the difficulties that pilgrims would have just trying to get to a place of pilgrimage. And he said, "So my lovers won't mind a little rain." But there is a saying in India about masters that when it rains, it's a cleansing of sanskaras. From Baba's point of view, it would be that. But Baba didn't declare that that was what the reason was. But there is a thought about that in India like that for people that go on places of pilgrimage. But Baba didn't seem to mind it at all. But I'm sure, it is also said in the case of the Avatar that even the slightest movement, the slightest motion, the slightest thing has far-reaching repercussions that you can't see. You don't see that part, but it does. It has these far-reaching repercussions, and Baba's work as the Avatar was to enlighten souls, to enlighten you. He doesn't mind what the things that you normally have to go through as part of your karma, but he does it in a way that it ends up in your advancement, that you now have a big advancement. And if people can get close to the Avatar, either just by thinking of him or loving him in that manner, your emotional body and your mental body are connected to him, because in his universal mind, all the minds of all beings are connected to him. And the mind is made of thoughts and feelings. That's what your mind is made of. So when you have a direction of focus of thoughts and you put it out to Baba, he has the universal mind, which means that he senses everything all at once. So your particular, even though you may be one of billions of people, and you have this focus that goes to him, he picks it up right away. For him, there's no problem. For us, it's impossible. You can't deal with millions of minds of others.
Irwin,
If you can deal with your own. Yes.
can I ask you a question? I wondered, I know you and your brother had trouble with your dad on your first trip to see Baba. How did he do with this one? Was that easier?
No, it wasn't. My father was very much against Baba at that time. He really was against him. And he did not want us to be traveling to India under any circumstance to go see Mayor Baba. So you see, the time before, when I went to see him, he called the police and he tried to get us arrested for all kinds of crimes that he cooked up in his mind to tell them so that they would stop us, and they did stop us. But then they let us go because those were not, none of it was true. So that was the time before that I went to see Baba. But this time, I asked him. So we're sitting at the dinner table, and I say to my dad, how would you feel if I someday wanted to go and see Mayor Baba again? Would you do anything to try and stop us like you did last time? He says, son, I'm glad that you're asking me this question. And my answer is, of course, I would try to stop you. You wouldn't know what you're doing. You would be out of your mind. Yeah, you wouldn't know what you're doing. You would be wasting all this money on airplanes and trips. No. I would definitely try to stop you. So I said, but what would you actually do? Oh, he said, I'd probably call the doctors and have you committed. So I said, okay. So then he says, "Yeah, are you planning anything?" Yeah, my father was a smart man. Are you planning anything? Now, this is the plan to go to the East-West gathering, you see. So I said, well, Dad, I'm sure you'll find out. You'll be the first to know if there's a plan like that. I gave him some excuse. Now, it's clear to me that I can't tell him anything. I really did want to tell him that I was going to go and that Edward was going too. But I saw, he's going to be such an obstacle, I'll never get there. So, it's just so it ended like that. But I knew that I could not tell him anything at all, nothing, zero, because my dad was very energized and he would do everything that he could to stop us. So that was that. So instead, I just said to my brother, I said, you go to New York, get our papers in order, and then I'll fly up there and also join you and meet you, and then we'll go from there.
Tell the rest of the story about what happened with your
What?
father. He had you arrested.
Well, no, that was the first time. So there was no way to do that. Now I skip over to the time when I'm actually sitting with Baba. Baba is seated there, and there's all the people in Guru Prasad Hall, maybe 200 people in the hall in the morning. This is just the Westerners now. And Baba turns to me and he looks at me and he says, does your father know that you come? So I said, no. Baba just looked up in the air like this with his eyes way up. Now, boy, he has what to do. to calm this situation down. And of course, my dad then finds out that, he says, "Where is Irwin and Edward?" Because we were staying in the house with him. We were living in the house with him. He says, "Where are they?" And then he discovers, he says, the first thing he does is he calls the bank. Did they take any money? And of course, we had to take the money because I was working for him also. But I was made president of the company. He wanted me to be interested in his real estate business, so he gave me a title. So anyhow, so I had all the legal and legitimate right to do what I did. So I just took the money out, and we just left. We didn't tell him anything. Now, just to say about my mom. Now, my mom was quite the opposite. She really adored Baba. She loved Baba, and one day she got a letter. Well, actually, it was a letter from me, I think, and she asked me that when I go to see Baba, if I would think that he's everything that I had read in the book that he was, which is one of the reasons why I accepted him and was able to go see him, because I wanted to meet him. He said he was the highest of the high, and I never met the highest of the high before. So I thought this is a good thing for me to do. So I was going to go, but she wanted to know whether, after I saw him, whether I thought that he was everything what I read. So I wrote her back and I said, "Mom, he's not only what I read and told you about, but he's much more than that too." So my answer is yes. Well, anyhow, that was what happened with during those days, and I think I covered it pretty good, didn't I?
Yes.
Yeah, Judy says I covered it okay.
Awesome. So he still wasn't on board. Your dad was not on board, would you say? And at that time?
He didn't come, no, but he eventually, over the years, he really began to like Baba because he would write to Baba, and he would write the nastiest letters in the beginning. He would accuse Baba of everything, and his two sons were like two criminals. And he would tell, don't take them because they're going to do everything wrong, and you can't believe a word they say. So this is the way he would write, you see. But then what happened, Baba had a beautiful way of responding to him. He knew just what to do. And I knew that Baba would know the truth about everything. I didn't even have to say it. And what Baba would write to him, first my father would send this nasty letter to Baba, accusing Baba also of everything. But then Baba would write back, "Dear Mr. Luck, I received your letter, and I was very happy to read how much you love your family, and how much you want them to do the right things and to be under God's instrument." He would write like that, and he would just praise my father for all the good things that he did. He said, "You have a heart of gold." And my father, after a few letters like this, would say, "Every time I get a letter from Bob, it's like reading the Bible." And then he began to like Baba and would look forward to Baba's messages and his letters, because Baba allowed him to write to him, even if he was in seclusion. He says, "Even if I'm in seclusion, I want you to write to me and to tell me everything." And this is the kind of way that Baba handled it. He never criticized anything of all the nasty things he would have ever said. He never responded to that. He just told him how good he was. And then after some time, it came about where he mentioned about his friends. He had friends. And I said to him, "Do you think that Baba is your best friend?" Because he was telling me that he thought of Baba as a friend. So, so I asked him, "Is he your best friend?" And he rattled off all the different friends he had and everything that was wrong with each one of them. This is the way he was. And then he came to Baba. He said, "Now, Mayor Baba, he understands me." That's what he said. Yeah, he's my best friend. So he went from hostility to friendship. And then before he passed away at the age of 94, I asked him if he thought that Baba was the God, in the God state of Baba being God. And he answered, and he said, "Now I am one of you." That was that was what he said. Towards the end of his life, he came to that conclusion. Now I am one of you. And my dad, he was the kind of man that would say anything that was on his mind. He didn't care who you were, what you were. He would just speak his mind completely. And he had no reservations. There was no filter between what he would what he would say and then the person he's talking to. So that was the kind of person he is. But he was honest, in his own way, he was honest. He always spoke his thought as he felt it. One day he even told me that he said, "I don't even understand myself, how I can be this way." He was telling me this. Well, when you're with Baba, you gain certain self-realizations, not the God realization, but the self-realization about your what type of person you are to yourself. You understand it better. And with this, there's no fooling. You are recognizing your self, your limitations, and whatever it is that you can do also. So that's
Yeah. That's, I've heard this story before, how he wound up, and I just think it's beautiful. I wanted to hear it again. I wanted to hear you say it, that he,
well.
yeah.
Each time, yeah, I've said this many times before. People have asked, but I've lived an incredible life with Baba, and the poems that I write and the books that I write. I just counted up how many books I wrote. I actually wrote about 15 books. Can you believe it? I don't believe I can write that much, but I did. And I always felt that all the things that were being written, whether it's poetic or not, was things that actually either happened. There were things. They were about things that happened, or they were things that Baba had explained that I was now presenting, because I know that Baba has really awakened a lot of understanding in me. See, I don't have any divine experience of the conscious states of God, bliss, knowledge, powers, and all of that. I have nothing of that sort. But what Baba did give me was the understanding through the intellect, the things that he explained. See, I can understand those things. And that's what I pass on. And the biggest thing that I can tell you all that I've understood is that that was when Baba was saying, "I come down to your level to bring you up to my level." See, because he wants you to become what he is. This is something that we don't always think about, that's what Baba wants. You look at Baba and you pray to him and you want certain things that you can't do yourself, so you ask God to help you with it. Well, that's not it. He does that because he's very generous and he's very loving, so he'll do even more the small things that you want. But the truth of the matter is he has a mission, and his mission is to make you one with him. In other words, to experience what he does. The God state is in everyone, in all living things. It's in everything, but it has to be revealed. in order for you to experience it, if you're going to have any use of it. And it's not like you're using something, but it's you understand and you are it. So to think of yourself as like my dad once wrote to Baba, they want to become gods. You can't allow this. You can't allow these two rascals to be gods. He would write this to Baba. This was in the beginning. He was writing like that. So, but the truth of the matter is, the God state is in each of us. And it is the only thing that we have to realize, because that's the whole spiritual path, is to experience the God state that is within you. You see, you go through so many things in order to experience that one thing. And that one thing is everything. See, that's what Baba experiences, you have to experience. And now, the last thing that I want to say about that, is there a last thing? Yeah, I think there is. The last thing is that Baba said there is only one self in existence, one self in existence, and that one self is the same self that's behind all the bodies and minds of all beings. There is one self behind all the bodies and minds of all beings. That means that the one self is you. That self is you, behind the bodies and minds of everybody. So behind your body that you take is, you can call it yourself if you want, but it's not yourself. Or your mind and all the thoughts and feelings that you get in your head that you experience, that's also not you too, but you can identify with it. However, the one self is what is experiencing everything through your eyes and mind. So you become individuals that way. That's how you become an individual. And there can be billions of you. So the one self. So it's like another way of looking at it is that there are so many bubbles on the surface of the ocean, but they're all made of ocean. They're not made. They're not made of anything else. They're all still ocean. And when that bubble becomes so big that it bursts, it becomes the whole ocean. It don't become a half an ocean. Or a part of an ocean. It becomes the whole thing. There's only one ocean. It merges into it. So Bob is talking about the ocean of consciousness. Your consciousness is like a bubble in the ocean of his consciousness. But when that consciousness of yours expands to where it becomes unlimited, then you're experiencing what Baba does, because there's still one ocean. Now that we know that, go do it.
Thank you, Irwin. I thank you. I appreciate it. Whoop,
May I take a moment from you guys? No, sir.
sure.
Irwin, I have okay, two things. So you were at the East-West gathering, and you remember being on the second day when Baba to the Westerners and Irwin gave the journey of the four journey of the soul, and there was Dr. Harry Kenmore and
Where is
Ben
it?
Heyman. You remember that?
Yeah, I see. Are you talking to me or to?
Irwin, he wants to
Yeah, I'm
know.
talking to Irwin Luck.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't quite catch the whole question. What's the
The
question?
second day of the East-West gathering, when Baba, the Westerners were gathered in the hall with Baba, and he gave through Iraj, he gave the explanation of the four journeys of the soul. Were you there,
Yeah,
right?
the four journeys, right?
And you remember being there, and your memories are as fresh as that time? You remember Dr. Harry Kenmore, Ben Heyman?
Yes, I
Yeah.
remember all of that. That's
Okay.
right.
All right. So as you just said, we think of Baba and remember him, and he's in our thoughts and feelings. So I have a little clip from that moment, the second day of East-West gathering, and it's just maybe a minute long. And that's you already singing to Baba, he's got the whole world in his hands. Here we go, 1 second.
Yeah.
And
What is he?
He's gonna play everyone's song.
You know, in my opinion, he not only has the whole world in his hands, he's got the whole cosmos in his hands. When he was with Upasni Maharaj, they were in a hut together, him and Upasni. And when they came out, some of his disciples asked, "What happened in there? What did you do in there?" And
Okay, that
Baba
was the
said,
clip I just
"We were
wanted to share
counting
with you guys.
universes."
Thank you. Thank you very much. And your name, sir? Your name is, who are we speaking to?
I'm Nozer from Canada. Yeah,
Oh, okay, Nozer. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. That
So
was,
that was a live, Baba was there in the recording, and it's the second day of the East-West gathering.
uh,
And Dr. Harry Kenmore is recording on his little baby, the tape recorder. And I'm sure Irwin was there, Irwin Luck, in that.
I was there.
sending-
Yeah.
Yeah. So just refreshing the good memories of East-West gathering. Jai Baba.
Thank you. That was an unexpected treat. Thank you so much. You know, Erwin, and we have one more guest that I'd like to bring on at this time. If you, I think you're just about wound up, yeah? Erwin? Yeah.
What? I
Oh, I'm saying that we have one more guest that I'd like to bring on now. Cathy
Okay.
Riley is here, yeah, to read her.
Question,
Yeah?
did you get to keep the letters that your dad got from Baba?
Are you asking me?
Asking you, yes. Uh-huh.
Erwin, did you?
Yes.
That's-
Yeah, all the letters that came, we had from Baba, but then there was something that happened. You see, my dad, in those days, in the early days, he was so upset with Baba that he went into my room, and he took all the letters, and I also had a scarf that Baba told me to treasure, and he took all of this here and he threw it into the bay. In back of the house, there was the bay. So he threw everything in there. So when I came back and I saw, well, what happened to everything? You know, there was a picture of me with Baba and Edward. So, so he told me I threw everything in the bay. He told me, right. So I said, why? Then how come you left this picture? There was a picture. Why didn't that go in the bay too? He says, well, I thought there would be one thing you would like. Remember, as a memory. Go figure it, you know. So, so
Wow.
then I wrote to Baba and I told Baba that he had done this here. And Baba said that not to concern myself with it because it had served its purpose. And the purpose was that I would not get upset with my father because of what he did. You see, that was the purpose. And he said, because it served its purpose, it's not necessary now.
Wow.
You know, Baba said that. So, any thought about it or feeling that, you see, I only wanted that my dad should get the help that Baba could give, because Baba, I knew, was the master. He was the master of the mind. He was the master of everything. So I didn't concern myself things that that he was being hostile. I just felt that Baba would know how to take care of this here. He would handle it, and he did. Took time, but he did. And that's what happened.
Great, great answer. There, Irwin, thank you. We will have time after Kathy's presentation for questions if anyone else wants to chime in. But right now, I'd like to ask Kathy, please, Kathy's husband Tom, as you probably all know, wrote a beautiful book with a chapter on the East-West Gathering, which is well, she's going to read excerpts from it. Let's see. Oh, Kathy, let's see. Can you unmute? I really recommend. Oh my goodness, I'm blown away really by reading this chapter. Thomas he shares very intimately um, his his experiences. So let's see, Kathy, if you can speak, I think we will you will see you on the video.
Great. So thank you for inviting me to share Tom's writings and memories of being at the East-West Gathering. And can you hear me okay?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So what an honor to bring Tom to you all. I found what I consider to be some of the wonderful, powerful sections of Chapter 7, which is Tom's writings of the East-West Gathering. And as those of you who have heard Tom speak or read the book, he arrived early, and we figured out that it was Sunday, October 28th, that Francis Brabazon knocked on his hotel door and said, "Baba wants to see you now." And they drove through the city weeping together in anticipation of being with Baba. And Tom was told by Francis as they arrived at Guru Prasad to remove his shoes. And as Tom stood on the terrace all alone, reading now, an experience of sacredness surrounded me and descended upon me, overwhelming me. Without any decision to do so, I found my hands now pressed together as though in thankfulness and prayer. Holiness came over me and from within me. A few times when Tom would share this, ascending the steps of Guru Prasad to meet Baba, I remember him saying once, "I became a holy man." And I know that Tom didn't have, there was not an ego in it, but he was just so filled with Baba's bliss of his imminent embrace that he was completely filled with this feeling of holiness. The world became unreal and at the same time blessed and divine. In this state, I ascended the steps. The villa rose in vastness before me. Having now arrived at the top of the steps in this altered state, I saw just ahead of me to my left 2 huge open wooden doors. As I approached the room, it appeared dimly lit, and I was vaguely aware that many figures were seated on oriental carpets faced toward my left. My focus was so entirely upon Meher Baba that I had just seen that I did not discern whether those others were only men or women. My attention was centered only upon Baba. He was seated in a simple wooden armchair. His presence radiated. His eyes shone like glistening silver. He was positively gleeful with the awareness that I had now arrived. Again, remembering Tom's shared stories, he would say that Sometimes he would say that Baba was almost wiggling like a puppy in excitement that he had seen Tom. And within me then, and at once, a transformation occurred. From the presence of sacredness which had instilled itself inside of me, now anguish, helplessness, and despair took hold of me. Instantly, in this changed state, I rushed over to him, fell before him, and with my head upon his knees, I wept. I had no consciousness of the moment, yet I was aware that he caressed my head, and as he did so, I heard coming from him the most soft and subtle moaning sound. Tom would, he would hear coming from Baba. As he stroked my head, he reached deeply into me across immense barriers, touching me spiritually, mending my sorrow, and creating unison with me. I arose from this revelation, and in an instant I became aware of the sleeve of his cotton sadra. So Tom said that he saw this beautiful embroidery, which he realized must have been created by the women, and this brought him back into the moment. This lacework, a labor of love, which had been created by one of his women devotees, awakened me to the present moment. I then moved slightly away from him so that I was now sitting on the floor in front of the others, but directly before him. Our eyes met in mutual communion. His Mandali Erich sat next to Baba. After some quiet moments, Baba then said to me through Erich, "You have no idea how blessed you are today. You have broken the ice for the East-West gathering." Moving on to another powerful section here. Baba asked, after asking about his family and his life in America, "Which of my works have you read?" Responding, I answered, "Baba, I've read so much of what you said that's been printed in English." Baba then asked through Erich, "Have you read God Speaks?" I answered, "Yes, Baba, I've read it 3 times. There was a quiet rumbling sound from the men, which, as those of you who know Tom's story know, that Tom had offered Adele Walken some hashish in New York before going to India. The word instantly went to Dr. Goher that this hash head was coming to India. So everybody in India knew that this man, Tom Riley, was like taking drugs. And when I assume what happened was when, Baba asked and Tom said, "I've read it 3 times." All at once, these people had to kind of reassess this hash head, that maybe there was some consciousness this man had or some smarts. So the rumbling came from the men, and Baba raised his hand for stillness. Then Baba asked, "Can you sum up for me in a nutshell the essence of God Speaks?" There was another rumble, so Tom would always go, make a bigger rumble. My focus at that moment went entirely into the essence of what God Speaks meant to me. The experience of having read it was such a revelation to me that it wanted nothing but to express itself. I answered, "The whole of creation exists so that the soul can find its way back to you." I was about to say back to God, but being there just before him and sensing so deeply his presence, I dismissed the obscurity of the word God and said, "The whole of creation exists so that the soul can find its way back to you." Baba's reaction was electric with pleasure. Directly in front of me and smiling so happily, Baba made the sign of perfection with both thumbs and forefingers of both hands. Those seated upon the carpets responded at once with wild acclaim. So, whoa, big rumble. Baba glanced at them approvingly and nodded his head, allowing them to express themselves. This focused attention was overwhelming to me. Try as I could, it was impossible to hide. I'm going to skip the section about the drugs, which many of you know, most of you I'm sure know the story that Baba asked Tom about what he smoked. And well, I'm sure Baba had planted men in the back saying, what does he ask him if he smokes? What does he smoke? And then Baba very lovingly said, it's best if you don't smoke anymore. And that whole section I'm going to skip over because the intense, beautiful section never tires inside of me to hear or read this. After that part of the meeting, Baba's silence now pervaded the room. He became very still, contemplating the profound importance of something which must be uncovered, something which must be fulfilled. An atmosphere of seriousness manifested as Baba deeply focused upon the supreme need for one to discover within oneself the process of identifying with his reality. Through his gestures, Baba conveyed the solitary urgency of surrendering all the attachments, all the impressions, the desires, the wants, overwhelming so much of our consciousness. One must long to create a relationship with his being, his presence within oneself. He said that this would be accomplished only through a self-determined longing for change, away from and beyond what the past had created. This companionship then, evolving through focus, preoccupation, commitment, and devotion, would enable one to gain release from this prevailing and entrenched illusion, creating a transformation into the depth and the revelation of his love. As Baba communicated this, the love reverberating around the vision of this ensuing union was awakening in me. And I experienced then so powerfully and poignantly, the strength and the beauty of his divine presence. The potential for the revelation of this exalted sacred gift hidden within consumed me completely. Observing me seriously now, Baba said, you have to love so much that all this world you see around you becomes completely unreal. The immensity of this sacred revelation overwhelmed me. The beauty of his love was so singularly present in my heart in those moments that I, as a separate personality, ceased to exist. And at that moment, I heard myself cry out intensely, "Oh God." Losing any sense of self-control, I threw myself before him, taking hold of his feet. And with my head pressed upon them, I lost consciousness. Outside of time, I felt hands upon my shoulders. Someone was helping me to stand up. I heard that person say to me, no one has been allowed to touch Baba's feet, but Baba has allowed you to touch his feet. It was Erich. I was surprised to find out later that it had been many years since Baba had allowed anyone to touch his feet. In a few moments, becoming more aware, I could see that everyone who had been seated upon the carpets was now gone. Only Erich, myself, and Baba were present in the room. He was standing in front of his chair. Gesturing to Erich, Baba indicated a doorway into another room. Erich went out, leaving me alone with Baba. Standing in front of his chair, he then approached me gently smiling. Clearly within my mind, he spoke. Did you enjoy smoking? With no trace of amazement at this silent inquiry, I responded to him at once. Yes, Baba, I did, because during those experiences, I was brought so very close to your reality. And as Tom had explained in his talks, he wasn't smoking for recreation, but to remember Baba from his being with Baba here in Myrtle Beach in '58. Baba's eyes contemplated me positively as he nodded his head gently. He had been speaking to me freely, but without spoken words. The conversation continued so naturally and silently with questions from him and my spoken responses, which I often over the years said, Tom, since you can't remember, would you like to go to a hypnotherapist and try to remember what Baba said? And Tom just didn't feel he wanted to do that. So he must be remembering now on the other side. My state of consciousness was taken over by the present experiences, but I became aware that Erich had returned with Francis, who would now take me back to my hotel. So withdrawn was I just then that I was simply led toward an awaiting car outside, which drove me back to the Pune Hotel. So a little addendum that I'd love to share, which is not about the East-West Gathering, but Mara, years before on the porch, had said to me, I want you to tell everybody about Meher Baba. I want you to say Baba's name. Baba's name is the greatest gift you could give anyone. So when Tom's book came out, I decided to submit it to book award platforms, because then all these judges and readers would have to read about Meher Baba. So that would fulfill some of my sort of assignment from Mara on the porch years before. And to my happy surprise, out of the 6 book award platforms, Tom's book was awarded 5 book awards in the categories of spirituality and inspirational books. And many readers, many judges got to hear Baba's name.
Do you have it there with you, Cathy? Can you show us? Yeah, there. Thank you.
And I'm having it reprinted because it's out of print.
Oh, well, congratulations. Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share today.
Thanks. Thanks, Cathy. It's wonderful that you could do that. Now, 2 things I'd like to invite questions or comments, but maybe before that, Noser, I wonder if you could play that little clip again. Do you have it there handy? I don't know.
But if it's on video, maybe I can pass it to you and you can put it on share.
Can you hear me?
It's audio. I wonder,
Can you hear me?
I wonder if you could play that clip again.
I definitely can. But before that, I wanted to share something with you, which is so important.
Okay.
Baba is with us right now. He needs us more than we need him. And the simple truth and the concrete witness proof, I'll show it to you guys in a moment. You see, at the Samadhi, there is a microphone that we can hear live prayers at the Samadhi and Arti. I don't know if you guys know about it. On YouTube, you can listen live, the evening and morning prayers. There's a microphone that is alive, that you get a live stream on YouTube. And today we are talking about Baba, and the microphone is still on. I'll give you a glimpse of that. You guys can listen to Baba Samadhi right now. It's live.
Let's see. You will need to be co-host, I believe, here.
So just listen to the audio.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear the crickets?
No, oh boy.
Very silent in Baba's Samadhi right now.
Anyways, it's live right now. The Samadhi's microphone is on. That's a proof that Baba is.
He wants our company. Yeah. Okay, I'll play the clip. Okay. One moment. Okay, here we go.
Jai Baba. Avatar Mayor Baba Ki Jai.
Give me a second. Give me a second.
It's not finished?
That's
Okay, that was a clip I wanted to listen more about it. So Irach is reading Baba's gestures. Hey, Baba.
And where is this available, Nozer? At the
It's
center?
on the Mir Spiritual Center website that they put all the recordings on the Myrtle Beach Mir Baba's Mir Center.
In audio, is the audio section there?
Yeah, because in those days there was no video, and this is recorded by Dr. Harry Kenmore on his small tape recorder.
Okay, thank
And
you.
it's a long one. It's like Baba's giving the whole explanation about the 4 journeys of the soul. It's about half an hour long clip, but it's really, you feel you're right there at the East-West gathering. So
Thank
you,
you.
Baba. Thank you, Baba.
Thank you,
Jai
Baba.
Baba.
All right. Are there questions or comments from the audience? I'm not seeing other Nozer a hand.
Well, thank you for doing all this because it's really beautiful. And it's like we are in a kind of East-West gathering right now. So thank you very much for holding it and for all who presented and Cathy and Irwin and Goher.
Yeah.
And also from the Meher Nasosherwan. Nosh. Yeah. So Irwin, I think that you are very brave to go through this thing and come to Baba with this kind of barriers put at you and your brother. So wow, it's like wow, it's really very special. And so thank you for the story about your father. He was also a brave soul. So, and Cathy, it was really moving. And Nosh was shining. And Goher, I heard you also in Meharana. Your talk in Meharana. So here you were showing the same things, and you become a real speaker now. A real,
I don't know.
how do you say, inspiration.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
It is important. It is very
Yeah.
important because
all
all of
about-
you who saw Baba and who lived with the Mandali, the original Mandali, and
Yeah.
had that experience, you carrying the torch. So it's really important what you are passing
Okay.
through and doing.
Mm.
So thank you very much, and thank you, Baba. Thank you, Baba. And
Thank
he
you,
is
Baba.
here. Nozer, thank you for bringing that song. I didn't know that Baba was having that song in his East-West gathering, so it was nice.
Yeah, that was special.
Mm.
Cathy, I'm just reading the chapter on East-West Gathering. Oh, it's so inspiring. I so recommend. I mean, the whole book is wonderful, but wow, that his chapter really brings you there. Tom has a way of expressing so beautifully.
A funny
So I
thing
think
that-
we can see each other as being in this East-West gathering again. All of us. Yeah. From East and from West, aren't we? Some from India, some from Israel, some from anywhere else.
Were you going to say something, Cathy?
I was just going to say, because my friend Lois Brager and I gave a talk at the center last night about working at Dilruba for Kitty and Elizabeth, that we were so aware of Kitty's selfless servantness. That was one of the themes, and just being here for all of us who knew her. And those of you who have read Love Alone Prevails, remember that, on the last day, Rana was told by Baba to clear the hall. Kitty was in the back talking to an Indian couple, and Rana didn't see Kitty. And then Kitty left the hall, and, in her book, just one sentence, I think that was the saddest day of my life. That at the East-West gathering, she realized that she wouldn't be called back to India to be with Baba, yet she never belied that tremendous sadness, and she gave us all so much, and her example is so powerful, just cheerfulness and enthusiasm despite everything that we're going through. So because I was just talking about it last night, and that East-West gathering moment is, we're talking about the East-West gathering, and she gave her all to all of us, everything she could give of Baba. And I didn't know that until I read the book. Anyway, I'm feeling overwhelmed by that at the moment, so I'd like to share that. Thanks.
Obedience too. She might have wanted to turn around and at least wave to Baba, but no. Wow.
I'm thinking of others who were in the East-West gathering, like Charles Hayes and his sister that are still here with us, and the twins that are still here with us. And yeah, so there are quite a few that are still holding that true remembrance.
Right. Yeah. Right. Ashima. You've got a hand up. Ashima? Hello, we saw you for a minute there. Ashima, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Hi.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Actually, if you have the time, I could share a small story. My father met Baba for the first time in East-West gathering.
Oh, yeah. Tell us.
So he was a young boy. He was a college student. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, we hear you fine.
Okay. So he was, he actually, that story I would leave it aside of how he came to know about Baba. But that was the very first time that he met Baba. So he went to Pune for East-West gathering. And when he reached there, he realized that there was a big line of people queue for Baba's darshan. And he said, before that, he was writing letters to Baba. So he said, nothing doing. There's such a big line. I have to have Baba's darshan. And he told Baba that in last 6 advents of yours, you haven't remembered me. I don't remember meeting you. So you have to pay for it this time. And so I am going to take your darshan 7 times. And there were announcements where everybody, the mandali was announcing that do not come in the queue again and again, just come once so that everybody gets an opportunity to meet Baba. And, but he was in his mind adamant that that's what he wanted to do, take his darshan 7 times to complete meeting 7 advents. So he managed to do that by telling people he would go finish his darshan. The very first time, of course, he bowed down to Baba, touched his feet and, had his experience. And then he came back and he got into the line again, telling people that I have to catch a train and I have to run quickly. So would you allow me to go out of turn? And this is how he managed all the 6 or 7 times. But while being in the queue, he also realized that there were people who were going second time or the third time, or they were going again, and mandali would pull them out of the queue. So he was wondering how the mandali knows and how do they catch anybody who's going again. And he realized that Baba was actually the one who would catch the person, had a twinkle in his eye, and that's how the mandali would recognize, because mandali's whole attention was on Baba. They weren't paying attention to people who's coming again and again. And it was Baba who would give them an indication and they would pull out the person out of the queue. But every time it was my dad's turn to go and bow down to Baba, Baba turned his face away. He didn't look at him. And so he managed to go and have his darshan 7 times without being caught. So that was the story I wanted to share.
Good story.
Beautiful.
Oh, yeah. You love motivated him, huh? Thank you, Ashima.
Jai Baba. He's 85 years old now and he lives in Lower Marabad. His name is Gokaran Srivastav, and probably some of you might know him.
Librarian, and he's the one who yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. He came to Baba through Salt in Marazan.
Yes. Yes.
And you have a beautiful daughter who sings and a beautiful son too.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
we enjoy her singing. She's beautiful, and so is your son.
Thank you.
But I didn't know that your father met Baba in this way. That's beautiful.
Through Salt, is that a long story or do you have time?
I have the time. Do you have the time?
A few moments.
Okay, I'll try to make it a short one. So he was a student in a city called Jabalpur. He was a college student, and he, from his childhood, he used to feel that there is something missing in his life. He didn't know what it was. And one day he gets a new professor in his college who teaches botany. Botany is the science of plants. And this teacher somehow looked at my father and thought that this was a good student. So every day he would ask him a question related to the subject. And my father had no interest in studies at that time. But since it started happening again and again over a period of time, he started feeling embarrassed, not knowing the answers to the question. So he started studying. And when he started studying, the professor realized that he has some interest in the subject. So he mentioned to him that, if you ever need any help, you can come and ask me. And those days, the relationship between a teacher and the student was so different. The teachers really gave a lot to the student. It was like I don't know how to say, but it was maybe friends or older brother and younger brother, or something of that sort, So my father actually went to his professor's house and he saw a picture of Baba on the wall. He didn't know who it was. It was a black and white photograph. And Baba was in his sadra. There was no garland or any sign of any worship. So it didn't look like it was a spiritual master or something. It looked like probably he was the father of the professor. But he was very attracted to the picture. So he kept on going to his house every now and then, not to study, but to look at the picture. And when this continued for a while, the professor was being transferred to another city. And that was the day he landed up crying, my father, because the professor was very touched and he thought that, oh, my student loves me so much and he feels that he's going to miss me. So the professor said, don't worry, I would help you. And father said, but I'm not crying for you. I'm crying for this man in the photograph. Who's he? So then the professor explained that this is my spiritual master. He's my guru. So the first question was, is he alive? And then professor gave him some information about Baba, not telling him the name. And then suddenly my father started asking him the question that does he stay here and does he stay there? And this was the address of Merazad. So the professor was also surprised and he said, how do you know this address or this place? And he said, I have been going for these camps in the summer. So in India, in the colleges, they have something called NCC. That's like a mini military training which they do for these students. NCC means National Cadet Corps, and you get to get trained like an army officer. Not so much, but something like that. And in the summer holidays, they collect all the NCC cadets from the country and they take them for a camp. Now, Ahmednagar being a very, very big army base, that's where they used to go from the whole country, the students would go. This is early 1960s. So that's when they had gone there. And during the day, they would camp around the hills and near the Merazad Reservoir, where they would be also served their lunch. And one day, my father, when they were served lunch, he felt that he needed some extra salt. So he asked the people who were serving that, do you have some salt? And they said no, because the food was cooked and brought, so there was no extra salt. So those days there were not many trees, and he noticed this bungalow through the fields and he said, I think somebody lives there. Let me go and get some salt. So he walked through the fields and he went to that bungalow, asked somebody for salt, and somebody gave him the salt. And this place was, of course, Merazad. So he did not know that he had received salt from Baba's home. He didn't know anything about Baba at that time. And he came to know a couple of years later that he had already been to Baba's home and received some salt from Baba's home without realizing whose house it was. And then later on, of course, when he came to know, he connected everything. And then he realized that he has already been there. So he started writing letters to Baba. And Baba's Mandli would reply, either Bau or Erich would reply to all his letters, which he continued throughout Baba's life. And even after Baba dropped his body, he continued writing letters and continued receiving messages from the Mandli on behalf of Baba.
Great story. Salt. That's wonderful.
Thank you for telling. Sorry.
Baba, can I come in for a minute?
Okay,
Knock, knock.
sure.
Okay, it's Nozer again.
Mhm.
And in our crowd today, there is somebody by the name of Sienna, if you can see in the audience. Sienna
Let's
on the
see.
Zoom.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so I told her to come on the Zoom.
Here.
And I'll just introduce to
Let's see. Sienna. I'm looking.
Tridiani.
I'm not seeing Sienna. Oh,
on
Sienna.
the Zoom.
Yes. Okay, yeah.
Can she hear you?
Hi, everybody. Jay Baba. How are you doing, everybody?
Are you brave? You want to show your face?
No.
Actually,
I'll make it quick. I'll make it quick.
yeah, that's
I'll just
okay for
introduce.
now, but
Sienna
I'm
is
just
also from
listening as
Canada,
well.
Hamilton, and she's visually impaired from birth, so she has seen nothing of the gross plane.
Wow.
And can you imagine? She's in Canada, an Italian by background, and I would say it was in 2017 or 18. I just told her about Baba as the ocean, and one, Jesus and Baba one, and it took her no time to just 1, 2, and 3, and there was no argument, no reading, nothing. So here Baba throws the net. Somebody who hasn't seen the world. Her name is Sienna, and Baba's favorite, as I read in the Glimpses of the God-Man, was Saint Catherine of Siena. One of Baba's.
Oh, that's right.
Here it's Sienna, and rest she can tell about herself, and that's it. So Sienna is from Ontario, Hamilton, and she's in Baba's net. She's called Baba's Ocean. Sienna, you can speak a few words for yourself.
Yeah, no, Jay Baba, everybody. I don't know if you guys can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yep, there we go. So yeah, no, I just want to come in and say it's really nice to meet you all, and just being in Baba's presence, really really does help. You know what I mean? Like, I feel, everything just everything falls into place. You know what I mean? And it's always there.
Yes, we do know what you mean. We are, most of us are here at Baba Zoom often, if not daily, and you're welcome. We have many programs. So,
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you so
In
much.
fact, yeah, if you want to put let's see, how do we, I know, you know what, we can get, if
Email,
you like,
yeah.
give
Email's good
email,
too. Yeah.
yes, Nozer, maybe you can send her email, yeah, to,
Yeah. Actually, Nozer did send me the link today, and I was able to get
all
the
right. Okay, well,
meeting ID and the passcode. So yeah,
that's
really
the link.
happy to be here.
That good link is good for a month. The passwords change every month. So,
I will let you know.
thank you. Okay, maybe you could.
Sienna, would you like to sing one of Baba's song, Que Sera Sera, which Baba liked, and we all can enjoy your singing?
If you could
Please, say
just
Baba.
give me
We
a
don't need the
moment
instrument,
here.
just your voice, no instrument, no guitar, nothing. Jai Baba.
All right. Yeah. No. Here we go.
Okay.
This is one of my favorites, and that's one of the lessons that I've learned from Baba,
Yeah.
that que sera sera, whatever will be will be. So here we go. When I was just a little girl, I asked my mother, what will I be? Will I be pretty? Will I be rich? Here's what she said to me. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera. What will be, will be. When I grew up and fell in love, I asked my sweetheart what lies ahead. Will I have rainbows day after day? Here's what my sweetheart said. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera. Now I have children of my own. They ask their mother, what will I be? Will I be handsome? Will I be rich? I tell them tenderly,
Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera. What will be, will be. Que sera, sera. Jay Baba.
Beautiful. Baba, love that song.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Hey,
Very
Baba,
beautiful.
lovely.
Jay Baba.
And I'll get you,
Very
I think I'll get your information from Noser. So we do it that way, Noser. I'm looking at your phone number here.
Yeah, no, that sounds great.
Well, I get emails from Irwin Luck, so I'll just keep forwarding her.
Yeah, keep
Because
forwarding and
Okay.
yeah, no, that
I don't
works
get
out
text.
well.
Okay. All right. All right.
I
Very
just
well.
want to
Thank you.
mention
Thank
that
you, Bob.
there are books. I just want to mention that there are books which are read out and what do you call it? How
Audio.
you call it?
We
Audiobook.
audio.
Yeah,
We
many Baba audiobooks are put on Baba Zoom recordings and can be read through that.
Mhm.
Oh wow. Are they on the Baba Zoom
Yes.
website or?
Baba Zoom, yeah.
Yes. Yes.
But
we-
they installments, because every week they would come and read part of it, and then the next week another part. So some of them are finished reading the whole book, but some of them are in the process. So you can read those books through
That's
these.
good to know as well.
Zoom.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have reading groups that and yeah, and that's what we do. We read aloud and record. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Okay, so Irwin can be a contact. I'll get Irwin. I'll get a hold of you. We'll see if we can connect. Can tell you what's available.
That's awesome. Yes, please do.
Hey. All right, all wonderful. Thank you. We've had a great time here. Yeah, how special. What an opportunity to to mark the occasion.
Thank you, Betty.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, Angela, for putting it up. The Zoom, the Baba Zoom. Thank you, Baba. Thank you all.
Mhm.
So
Thank
can
you.
we send with three?
Thank you. Thank
with-
you.
Hey, Baba.
You say Avatar 3 times. Avatar.
Baba.
Hey, Baba. Ki Jai.
Jai.
Avatar.
Baba.
Ki Jai.
Jai.
Avatar.
Beloved Avatar.
Baba.
Baba Ki.
Jai.
Thank you. Thank
Tomorrow is a
you.
movie. Tomorrow we're showing a movie at this time in my father's house, also by Bob Fredericks, also about East-West gathering. It's on the calendar.
Mhm.
All right.
Okay, thank you, Betty. Jai
All
Baba.
right. Thank you.
Thank you all. Jai Baba.
Jay Baba.